Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're in the Keeper's Guide today for Call of Cthulhu. We are looking at the tomes of Eldridge lore. We're going over that chapter. It's going to be broken into multiple parts. I'm mostly going to talk about how they want you to describe the tomes and using them in a game today. But after that, we'll go over the different tomes. And I'll probably break it up into like a couple of pages of tomes, and then that'll be like a part, and then another part, a couple more pages, because there are eight pages of mythos tomes and another 2 pages of occult tomes. So without further ado, let's dive into this mythos tome special. So the first section they have is describing mythos tomes, and I'm going to skip a little bit of it and start my reading here. Even though each book summary is uniform in these rules, assume that each copy of the mythos books can be different from its fellows. Though the logic of that potentially diminishes for recent books, such as Azathoth and the others, even then, bindings may be broken, pages torn out, and signatures missing or wrongly collated. Contents may be ink-stained or acid-scarred, with pages half-burnt, and the words made illegible or utterly defaced by madmen, or by the sane men who sought to destroy the dangerous information therein. Unique information may be written as marginally or jotted down on notepaper and inserted here or there. Some tomes begin to possess their own character as they grow in age, passed down through the generations between family members, booksellers, and collectors. The tomes seem to absorb an imprint of their owners. This can be more than simply the wandering marginally of occult scholars, with some books apparently manifesting distinct personalities that echo once powerful owners, such as grand sorcerers and cult potentates. Consider the smell, feel, and look of mythos books. The overall impression ought to be distinctly unhealthy. The binding will probably be leather, perhaps human, or even that of some otherworldly being. Does the leather leave a slimy residue when touched? Does the book leave a musky odor where it has been? Does the presence of the tome cause the pages of others nearby books to char and blacken? Perhaps the book appears to move on its own accord, never to be found where the investigator remembers placing it. Sorcerers and cultists are not librarians. They are unconcerned with the needs of posterity. They intend to live forever, and they consider the knowledge contained within their tomes to be theirs by right, and not to be lightly passed to the unworthy. Okay, so that was their notes on how to describe the mythos tomes. Undiscovered editions. If an original language version is found of a work that until then was known only in translation, then the original version is more informative. Add a few percentiles to the Cthulhu Mythos skill reward. Treat the original edition as another edition. The keeper chooses the book's original language and can make up its title in that language as well. If you create a new mythos tome for some purpose, you should have a suitable name for it. Know the language of its composition, know what it looks and feels like, know how many sanity points are lost in reading it, know how many Cthulhu Mythos points its comprehension adds, and be able to determine what spells, if any, can be found within. So that's notes on undiscovered editions, which also helps you if you're a keeper wanting to make your own version of these tomes. Later, like I was saying at the beginning, later in this, they list already named and existing tomes that have been used throughout Cthulhu adventures and stories. So they'll have details on it, which will probably break down by so many tomes on so many pages in further videos. Using mythos tomes. Consider that each book is a potential conduit of mythos power and energy, a physical and mental portal to the madness of secrets beyond the reasoning of mortal man. Books of power may exert a dark influence on those who possess them, stoking their desire for blasphemous knowledge, kindling a fascination for the occult, and ultimately driving the owner to delve deep into the mythos and court insanity. In many Lovecraftian stories, the protagonist is thrown headfirst into the horrors of the mythos as a result of some mythos artifact or tome. Akin to spells, mythos tomes can unbalance a game if used too freely. Such books are a conduit for Cthulhu mythos knowledge and spells, providing the investigators with a potential source of great power in combating the machinations of the mythos. If everywhere the investigators turn they find a mythos tome, then the game becomes predictable and the challenge lessened. Obtaining a mythos book could be a scenario in itself, or at least a suitably dangerous sidetrack to a campaign, allowing the investigators to gain secrets that help them in their quest against the minions of the mythos. This power and knowledge comes at a price. In Call of Cthulhu, this usually means increasing descent into madness. While players will desire to gain mythos books, they should also fear them due to the terrible sanity depleting effect that they will have on their investigators. Investigators' possession of a mythos tome should always carry a consequence. This may simply be the cost in sanity, as described above, or some other story-related consequence. Try to devise corrupt investigator background entries that drive the story forward. Think about how the investigator's relationship with the mythos tome could be manipulated to compel the game's narrative, and further depth to the investigator and suggest role-playing opportunities to the players concerned. While other investigators view the mythos tome in question as a smelly, evil-looking book, the investigator who has become corrupted by it will see it in a quite different light. An investigator may feel compelled to hide the book away in case he gets hurt, or perhaps a deluded investigator cannot read another book without the tome's text burning through the print. The tome is the source of secrets it must know. I must learn more. This is possible background corrupted entries. No one is allowed to touch my book. The book speaks to me and I must obey. The book is evil, and so am I for reading it. Wherever I put the book, it kills anything near it. The book is changing me, a hunger for human flesh. Sounds like the Book of Ghouls. So that's the information on the books, some of how they should use, some of them corrupting the background, so on and so forth. We'll get into the specifics next video on the Cthulhu tomes. So until we meet again, guys.